The members of the Police and Crime Committee met with several members of the Metropolitan Police who deal specifically with gang crime and knife crime in the capital. But they also met with representatives of youth groups and gang commands in the city of Westminster, so people who would be dealing directly to try and stop people from offending before these knife crimes happen. This comes as the news that serious youth violence has been on the rise since 2012 to 2013. This year has already seen 6,000 different youth-oriented crimes, serious youth crimes. That's crime defined as things like grievous bodily harm, sexual assault, and of course crimes with knives and guns. A 4% rise since 2014, but a massive 20% rise since 2012 to 2013. Knife crime especially is on the rise, with almost half of all serious youth crime being attributed towards knife-involved crime. Females as well, that's an important statistic, now make up a quarter of victims. That's risen by around 58% since 2011, with boroughs having the worst crime statistics being Newham, Croydon, Tower Hamlets and Southwark. Well, earlier on, members of the Police and Crime Committee spoke to the Metropolitan Police about how we can increase trust among the communities and their police.
The question is, does a community or do parts of a community have confidence and trust in police to be able to do what we do? That is absolutely integral to making something a success, because as part of that, we've said it a couple of times, we're not going to enforce our way out of anything. Yes, we can have a significant impact, and we have had a big impact over the last year in terms of our enforcement activity across the Met. That won't be sustainable, and that won't solve the underlying problems. So we need to make sure, as an organisation and with our partners as well, that we do have the full confidence of communities, because when we walk away from our operations, it is the community that is there, whatever community you're from. It's the community that's going to provide guidance to the young people, it's the parents, it's the aunties and the uncles. So there is always going to be that sort of guiding hand for young people that are more likely to be involved in violence. But I think also with that as well, it's making sure that through that increase in trust and confidence, that is where you get your people that are willing to come forward and say, I've got information that such and such a person has got a gun or they are dealing drugs, and then we're able to work to obviously tackle that.
Comes as the Mayor Sadiq Khan pledged £400,000 to tackle knife and gang crime in the capital. Since January, Met figures have shown that 4 teenagers have been stabbed to death this year alone, with 12 teenage deaths and 219 serious injuries in 2015. So really showing you how shocking these statistics are. Money pledged by the Mayor will be going to the London Resettlement Consortium, a group that deals with rehabilitation and prevention before these crimes happen. Someone who was a victim of this crime is the mother of Josh Hanson, who I'm sure you'll remember was murdered in the late months of last year. And joining me now is Tracy Hanson, Josh's mother. Tracy, obviously this was a very horrible crime to happen to your family. What's been the impact of this crime?
It's affected everything in our lives, not having Josh with us. Hearing about what happened to Josh on that in the early hours of the morning put us all into shock, as you can imagine. And we are still in shock. We are hoping to, by sharing our story and our pain, to drive more awareness and help prevent knife crime. It just doesn't affect the person that's been murdered. It affects everybody at large, whole families, communities, the infrastructure. We're just doing everything we can really to highlight those dangers that, you just should not be carrying a knife.
And certainly in crimes like the murder of your son, it was something that most people wouldn't understand, the pain that comes from this sort of issue, and so they carry out these crimes without really thinking about the consequences. How important are these consequences?
Hugely important. You're ripping everyone's lives apart. It's me who's had to stand there in a mortuary and see my son laid out. It's me who's had to sit every single night and look at my son's clothing that's never going to be worn again. It's myself and my family who have to live every single day with knowing that anything we do, any occasion, anything we do, Josh is not there. So it's lifelong. This is for the rest of my life. Our lives will never change. Josh will always be missed hugely, and we will always be grieving. It's life-changing. It's life-changing.
And earlier on, you spoke to the mayor who was outside here at City Hall. What did he say to you about this particular event?
They are obviously focusing on all they can do to help prevent knife crime. And obviously the meeting that took place today is a very powerful meeting, and I'm hoping that some good will come from this. We all need to come together. We all need to realise that this is not just isolated cases. It's not just gang-related. This is going on all of the time, and it needs to stop.
And you've been carrying out an appeal. You've got a poster here, the latest police information. Tell us a bit about this.
This is the reward poster. The police are looking for the man named here, Shane O'Brien, in connection with my son's murder. The reward is now £20,000, and the latest information is that there are links to Dubai. I have this poster printed in numerous languages. I laminate these posters and I send them out every single day. The response has been amazing, but we need you on board. We need as many people as possible to reach out to our Justice for Josh website and ask for that poster. I will gladly send it out to you, whether that be in a link or the actual poster itself. As you know yourself, Luke, you saw many posters in Munich just recently. So we are worldwide with our campaign. Nonetheless, we still do not have justice, and we need everybody, as many people as possible, to help support us get justice. We cannot grieve in peace until we have had justice.
Tracy, thank you very much for joining us today. Well, this is obviously a situation that leads to much heartbreak, much pain among the families who suffer this sort of crime. And for the people here, the Police and Crime Committee, they are hoping that they can come up with a way to tackle a crime that affects so many people across the capital.